The old warehouse stood silent on the edge of town, its broken windows like hollow eyes staring at nothing. Inside, rows of small cages lined the concrete floor, each one holding a story of sadness that most people would never know. In the darkest corner, a beautiful German Shepherd mix named Bella pressed herself against the cold metal bars. Her golden brown coat, once shiny and thick, now looked dull and patchy. 3 long years had passed since she first arrived at this terrible place, and each day felt longer than the last. The man who owned this place rarely spoke to the dogs except to yell. He moved through the warehouse like a storm cloud, his heavy boots echoing on the concrete floor. When he did look at Bella, his eyes were cold and empty, seeing her not as a living being with feelings, but as something to make money from. Bella remembered a different time, though the memories were fading like old photographs. She remembered soft grass under her paws, warm sunshine on her back, and gentle hands that would scratch behind her ears. But that life felt like a dream now, something that maybe never really happened at all. The warehouse was always cold. Winter or summer, the concrete floor never warmed up, and Bella had learned to curl into the smallest ball possible to keep from shivering. Her thin blanket, if you could call the torn piece of fabric a blanket, did little to help. Sometimes she would press her nose against the bars and imagine what it would feel like to run freely again. Food came at strange times and in small amounts. Often it was stale bread or leftover scraps that humans wouldn't eat. The water in her bowl turned green if it sat too long, and sometimes days would pass with nothing to drink at all. Bella had learned to lick the moisture from the walls when it rained just to survive. Around her, other dogs lived the same hopeless existence. There was an old beagle who wheezed when he breathed, his ribs showing through his thin skin. A small terrier mix spent hours walking in circles, her mind broken by the endless confinement. 2 Labrador puppies, barely old enough to be away from their mother, huddled together for warmth and comfort. The sounds never stopped. Whimpering, coughing, the scratch of nails against concrete as dogs tried desperately to dig their way to freedom. Some dogs had given up making noise altogether, lying still in their cages with vacant stares. Bella worried she was becoming like them, feeling her own spirit slip away a little more each day. When strangers occasionally visited the warehouse, the owner would transform into a different person. His voice became fake friendly as he led potential buyers through the rows of cages. He would make up stories about the dogs, claiming they were healthy and well cared for. Bella had learned to stay very still during these visits, hoping to become invisible. "This one here is a real beauty," the man would say, pointing at Bella's cage. "Strong bloodlines, perfect for breeding. Just needs a little feeding up, that's all." He would bang on her cage to make her stand, but Bella had stopped responding to his demands long ago. Standing up only brought more attention, and attention in this place was never good. The lies came so easily from his mouth. He would tell visitors that the dogs were fed twice a day with premium food, that they got exercise and medical care. But Bella knew the truth. She had watched other dogs get sick and simply disappear one day, their empty cages quickly filled with new prisoners. Some nights Bella would dream of running through open fields, her legs strong and free. In her dreams she could bark with joy and chase butterflies and roll in soft grass. But she always woke up to the same cold reality, the same metal bars, the same hopeless tomorrow stretching ahead of her. The worst part wasn't the hunger or the cold or even the loneliness. The worst part was losing hope. Bella had once believed that someone would come for her, that this nightmare would end. But as months turned into years, that belief grew weaker and weaker until it was barely a whisper in her heart. She had forgotten what kindness felt like. The touch of a gentle hand, words spoken in love instead of anger, the simple joy of being wanted and cared for. These things seemed as distant as the stars she sometimes glimpsed through the broken windows on clear nights, yet somewhere deep inside, buried under all the pain and fear, a tiny spark still flickered. It was so small that even Bella didn't know it was there, but it was real, waiting for the right moment, the right person, the right chance to grow into something beautiful again. The warehouse continued its silent watch over the broken dreams within its walls. But change was coming. Someone was about to walk into Bella's life, who would see past the matted fur and frightened eyes. Someone who would recognize that spark of hope and help it grow into a flame that would light up both their lives forever. But for now, Bella simply existed, one breath at a time, one day at a time, not knowing that her darkest hour was almost over and that dawn was finally coming. Dr. Lisa had been working with animal rescue for 15 years, but her hand still shook as she read the anonymous tip that came through the hotline. Someone had reported suspicious activity at an old warehouse on the outskirts of town. The caller mentioned hearing dogs barking at all hours and seeing people come and go at strange times. She had handled hundreds of these cases, but each one still made her heart race. As a veterinarian, she had dedicated her life to helping animals, and situations like this reminded her why her work mattered so much. She grabbed her emergency bag and headed out into the gray October morning. The warehouse looked abandoned from the outside. Broken windows, weeds growing through cracks in the pavement, and a rusty fence that barely stood upright. But as Lisa got closer, she could hear what the caller had mentioned, the faint sound of dogs in distress. Her stomach tightened as she realized this tip was very real. The rescue team met her at the entrance. These were people she had worked with many times before. Animal control officers, police specialists, and volunteers who had seen too much but never stopped caring. They moved quietly, knowing that surprise was their best chance of helping whatever animals were inside. When they opened the heavy warehouse door, the smell hit them like a wall. It was overwhelming, the stench of neglect, sickness, and despair, all mixed together. Lisa had to cover her nose with her jacket, but she pushed forward because she knew animals needed her help. The sight inside was worse than she had imagined. Rows and rows of small cages stretched across the concrete floor. In each cage, a dog sat or lay in conditions that made Lisa's professional heart break. Some were pacing frantically, others were too weak to move. The sound of whimpering and coughing filled the air. Lisa began documenting everything with her camera, knowing this evidence would be crucial for the legal case. But as she moved from cage to cage, checking on each animal, she tried to offer words of comfort. "It's okay, sweetie. We're here to help you now. You're going to be safe." Most of the dogs cowered when she approached, too frightened to trust that humans could mean anything good. They had learned that people brought pain, not comfort. Lisa understood their fear and moved slowly, speaking in gentle tones. Then she reached the corner cage, and something made her stop. A beautiful German Shepherd mix was pressed against the back of her small prison, but unlike the others, this dog looked directly at Lisa. Their eyes met, and Lisa saw something that took her breath away. Despite everything this dog had been through, despite the fear and the pain written all over her thin body, there was still intelligence in those brown eyes, still dignity. Still a spark of something that refused to be completely broken. Lisa knelt down slowly, not wanting to scare the dog. "Hello, beautiful girl," she whispered. "What's your story?" The dog didn't move closer, but she didn't look away either. For a moment, it felt like they were having a conversation without words. The warehouse owner arrived just as the team was finishing their documentation. He was loud and angry, shouting about his rights and demanding to know what was happening. But his protest fell on deaf ears as the officers showed him the warrant and began explaining the charges he would face. Lisa watched him carefully, noting how the dogs reacted when he raised his voice. They all became more frightened, pressing themselves against the backs of their cages. This told her everything she needed to know about how they had been treated. The removal process took hours. Each dog had to be carefully assessed, documented, and safely transported. Some were too sick to walk and had to be carried. Others were so terrified they had to be gently coaxed from their cages. The team worked with patience and care, knowing that rough handling now could make the animal's trauma even worse. Throughout the long day, Lisa kept returning to check on the German Shepherd in the corner. Each time the dog watched her with those same intelligent eyes. There was something about this particular animal that touched Lisa's heart in a way she couldn't explain. "What are you thinking about, girl?" Lisa asked during one of her visits. Are you wondering if this is real? If someone finally came to save you? The dog tilted her head slightly, as if she understood every word. As the last of the animals were loaded into transport vehicles, Lisa took one final walk through the empty warehouse. The silence felt different now. Not the heavy silence of suffering, but the peaceful quiet that comes after a storm. 28. Dogs were now safe, heading to veterinary care and hopefully eventually to loving homes. But as she drove away, Lisa couldn't stop thinking about the German shepherd with the soulful eyes. There had been something special about that dog, something that made her different from all the others. She had seemed to communicate without barking, to connect without moving. It was as if she had been waiting not just for rescue, but for someone who would truly see her. That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. She kept picturing those brown eyes and wondering what the dog was thinking now. Was she scared in her new temporary home? Did she understand that the nightmare was over? Or was she still waiting for someone to prove that kindness was real? Little did Lisa know that this was just the beginning of a story that would change both their lives forever. The connection she had felt in that warehouse was real, and it would soon lead to a decision that neither of them expected. 3 weeks had passed since the warehouse rescue, but Dr. Lisa found herself thinking about one particular dog every single day. She tried to focus on her regular patients at the clinic, the routine checkups, the vaccinations, the minor surgeries that filled her schedule. But whenever she had a quiet moment, her mind wandered back to those intelligent brown eyes. During her lunch break on a Wednesday afternoon, Lisa made a decision that surprised even herself. Instead of eating at her desk like usual, she drove across town to the county animal shelter. She told herself she was just checking on all the rescue dogs, making sure they were getting proper medical care. But deep down, she knew exactly which dog she really wanted to see. The shelter director, Maria, greeted her with a tired smile. The facility was overcrowded, as it always was, and the staff was doing their best with limited resources. "Dr. Lisa, good to see you. Are you here about the warehouse dogs? Most of them are doing much better now." "That's wonderful to hear," Lisa replied, trying to sound casual. "I thought I'd check on a few of them, especially that German shepherd mix from the corner cage. How is she doing?" Maria's expression grew concerned. "Bella, that's what we've been calling her. She's physically healing. Her weight is improving and her coat is starting to look better. But emotionally..." Maria shook her head sadly. "She's still very withdrawn. Won't interact with staff or volunteers. She eats, but only when no one is watching." They walked through the shelter together, past rows of kennels filled with dogs of all sizes and ages. Each one had a story. Each one deserved love. But Lisa found herself walking faster as they approached the area where the rescue dogs were housed. There she was. Bella sat in the back corner of her kennel, pressed against the wall just like she had been in the warehouse. Her coat looked cleaner now, and she had gained some weight, but her posture still spoke of deep fear and mistrust. "She hasn't made any progress with socialization," Maria continued. "The volunteers have tried everything: treats, toys, gentle talking. She just watches from a distance. It's like she's given up on the idea that humans can be kind." Lisa knelt down, in front of the kennel, her heart aching at the sight. "Hey there, beautiful girl, do you remember me?" she said softly. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, Bella lifted her head and looked directly at Lisa. Their eyes met, and Lisa felt that same strange connection she had experienced in the warehouse. It was as if Bella was trying to communicate something important, something that went beyond words. "She remembers you," Maria whispered in amazement. "I've never seen her make eye contact with anyone before." Lisa stayed crouched there for several minutes, just talking quietly to Bella. She told her about the sunny day outside, about the other dogs who had already found homes, about how proud she was of Bella's progress. The dog listened intently. Her ears perked forward in a way that suggested she understood every word. As they walked back to the office, Maria shared more details about Bella's situation. "Dogs like her, who've been through severe trauma, sometimes never fully recover. We'll keep trying, of course, but finding a home for a dog who won't interact with people, and it's going to be very difficult. The words hit Lisa like a punch to the stomach. She had seen too many cases where traumatized animals couldn't find families willing to work with their special needs. These dogs often spent years in shelters, or worse, were eventually put down because space was needed for more adoptable animals. What does she need? Lisa heard herself ask. Hypothetically, I mean. What would it take for a dog like Bella to recover? Maria looked surprised by the question. Time, mostly. Patience. Someone who understands that progress might be very slow. She'd need a quiet environment, consistent routine, and an owner who won't give up when things get difficult. It's a big commitment. Could take months or even years of work. Lisa nodded, her mind racing. She had never owned a dog before. Her life was busy with work, her apartment was small, and she had always assumed she didn't have time for a pet. But looking back at Bella's kennel, she realized that none of those practical concerns seemed to matter anymore. That evening, Lisa sat in her apartment thinking about everything Maria had said. She imagined Bella spending months or years in that kennel, watching other dogs get adopted while she remained behind. She pictured those intelligent eyes growing dimmer as hope faded completely. Then she imagined something different. She imagined Bella in her living room, maybe still scared at first, but safe. She imagined the slow process of building trust, the small victories that would come with time and patience. She imagined the day when Bella might finally wag her tail or come when called. Lisa had always been practical, always made decisions based on logic and careful planning. But this felt different. This felt like something her heart was telling her to do, regardless of what her brain thought was sensible. The next morning, she called the shelter before it even opened. Maria, it's Dr. Lisa. I've been thinking about Bella all night. I want to adopt her. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Are you sure? This won't be like adopting a normal dog. She's going to need so much work, and there's no guarantee she'll ever be completely normal. I'm sure, Lisa said, surprising herself with how confident she sounded. I know it won't be easy, but I can't stop thinking about her. She needs someone who won't give up on her, and I think maybe I need her too. The paperwork took most of the afternoon. Lisa filled out forms, answered questions about her living situation, and discussed Bella's special needs with the adoption counselor. Every step made her more certain that she was making the right choice. When it came time to load Bella into her car, the real challenge began. The frightened dog had to be gently coaxed out of her kennel and carefully lifted into the back seat. She immediately pressed herself against the far door, trembling with fear. As they drove toward Lisa's apartment, she kept talking to Bella in soothing tones. It's okay, sweet girl. We're going home now. Your real home, where no one will ever hurt you again. Bella didn't respond, but Lisa noticed that her trembling had stopped. Maybe, just maybe, something was beginning to change. The first night was the hardest. Lisa had prepared everything she could think of: a soft dog bed, premium food, fresh water, and even some toys she hoped might interest Bella someday. But as soon as they entered the apartment, Bella bolted straight under the dining room table and refused to come out. Lisa sat on her couch that evening, eating dinner alone while listening to the sound of Bella's nervous panting from across the room. She had imagined this moment so many times, but the reality was more challenging than she had expected. Bella looked terrified, pressed against the wall under the table like she was trying to disappear completely. It's okay, sweet girl, Lisa whispered into the quiet apartment. Take all the time you need, I'm not going anywhere. The next morning brought new challenges. Bella hadn't touched her food or water, despite Lisa placing the bowls nearby. She had learned from her veterinary training that traumatized animals often stopped eating when stressed, but seeing it happen in her own home was heartbreaking. Lisa tried everything she could think of. She moved the food bowls to different locations around the apartment. She tried different types of food, thinking maybe Bella had preferences. She even tried hand feeding, but Bella would only shrink further away whenever Lisa approached. Days turned into weeks, and the routine barely changed. Every morning, Lisa would wake up to find that Bella had eaten and drunk something during the night, but only when she was sure no one was watching. During the day, Bella remained under the table, occasionally changing positions, but never venturing into the open areas of the apartment. Lisa began to doubt herself. Maybe the shelter staff had been right. Maybe some dogs were too damaged to ever trust again. Maybe she had been foolish to think she could help when experienced animal handlers had failed. But something kept her going. Sometimes when she thought Bella was sleeping, Lisa would catch her watching. Those intelligent brown eyes would follow Lisa's movements around the apartment, and there seemed to be curiosity mixed with the fear. It was as if Bella was trying to figure out if this human was different from the others she had known. Lisa started talking to Bella throughout the day, narrating her activities like she was hosting a radio show. "Now I'm making coffee, Bella. The smell is really strong, isn't it? After this, I need to review some patient files for work. Mrs. Johnson's cat is coming in tomorrow for a checkup." She felt silly at first, carrying on one-sided conversations with a dog who wouldn't even look at her most of the time. But gradually, she noticed that Bella's ears would perk up when she talked. The dog was listening, even if she wasn't ready to respond. The breakthrough came during Lisa's 4th week of trying. She had been having a particularly difficult day at work. A surgery hadn't gone as planned, and she had to deliver bad news to a family about their elderly dog. She came home feeling emotionally drained and collapsed onto her couch without even changing out of her work clothes. Lisa sat there in the dim evening light, too tired to turn on the lamps, too sad to bother with dinner. She felt like she was failing everyone, her patients, their families, and especially Bella, who still lived in fear despite all of Lisa's efforts. That's when she felt it, a gentle pressure against her leg. Lisa looked down in amazement to see Bella's head resting on her knee. The dog had come out from under the table for the first time since arriving and had approached Lisa voluntarily. "Oh, sweet girl," Lisa whispered, afraid to move and break the spell. "Did you come to check on me?" Very slowly, she moved her hand to rest on Bella's head. The dog tensed for a moment, then relaxed under the gentle touch. They sat like that, for nearly an hour, neither of them moving. Lisa felt tears sliding down her cheeks, and not tears of sadness this time, but tears of hope. Bella had chosen to comfort her, to offer the first sign of trust she had shown since the rescue. From that night forward, everything began to change. Bella started eating her meals during the day instead of hiding until darkness. She began following Lisa from room to room, always keeping a safe distance but clearly wanting to be near her. When Lisa sat down to watch television or read, Bella would settle nearby, close enough to feel connected but far enough away to run if needed. The progress came in tiny steps that felt like giant victories. The first time Bella wagged her tail, just a small hesitant movement when Lisa came home from work, Lisa nearly cried with joy. The first time Bella approached her food bowl while Lisa was in the room was cause for celebration. And the day Bella actually brought Lisa one of her toys, a worn rope that had been sitting untouched for weeks, felt like winning the lottery. Lisa learned to read Bella's moods and signals. She discovered that sudden movement still frightened her, but slow, deliberate actions were okay. Loud noises sent Bella scrambling back to her safe space under the table, but soft music seemed to calm her. Most importantly, Lisa learned that Bella was incredibly intelligent and had been watching, learning, and adapting all along. They developed their own special language. Bella would sit by the door when she needed to go outside, always waiting, patiently for Lisa to notice rather than barking or scratching. She would bring her empty water bowl to Lisa when it needed refilling, carrying it carefully in her mouth, and when Lisa was sad or stressed, Bella would appear beside her, offering silent comfort. The transformation wasn't just happening to Bella. Lisa found herself looking forward to coming home in ways she never had before. Her apartment felt warmer, more alive, with Bella's presence. She started taking longer walks, not just for Bella's exercise, but because she enjoyed their quiet time together, exploring the neighborhood. Friends and colleagues noticed the change in Lisa, too. She seemed happier, more relaxed, and would often share funny stories about Bella's latest progress. "She figured out how to open the kitchen cabinet yesterday," Lisa would laugh. "I came home to find her sitting proudly next to a trail of dog treats she had scattered across the floor." 6 months after bringing Bella home, Lisa realized that the frightened, broken dog from the warehouse was becoming a confident, loving companion. Bella still had moments of fear, and some triggers still sent her hiding, but these episodes were becoming rarer and shorter. The real test came when Lisa had to work late one evening and didn't return home until after dark. She worried all day about how Bella would handle the change in routine, but when she finally opened her apartment door, instead of finding a terrified dog hiding under the table, she found Bella waiting by the entrance, tail wagging with genuine excitement. "Did you miss me, beautiful girl?" Lisa asked, kneeling down as Bella approached for pets and attention. The answer was clear in every joyful movement, every gentle lick, every happy circle Bella spun around her. Looking at her transformed companion, Lisa realized that in trying to save Bella, she had somehow saved herself too. They had both learned what it meant to trust again, to love without reservation, and to find healing in the most unexpected places. 2 years had passed since that first terrifying night when Bella hid under the dining room table. Now she bounded through the dog park with the pure joy of an animal who had forgotten what fear felt like. Her coat gleamed in the sunshine, thick and golden brown, catching the light as she raced across the grass chasing a bright yellow tennis ball. Lisa watched from a bench, smiling as other dog owners stopped to admire Bella's graceful movements. Nobody looking at her now would ever guess the dark story of her past. She moved with confidence and curiosity, her tail held high, her eyes bright with intelligence and happiness. "She's absolutely beautiful," said an elderly woman sitting nearby. "What breed is she?" "German Shepherd mix," Lisa replied proudly. "She's a rescue dog. Been with me for 2 years now." "A rescue? Really? She seems so well-adjusted and happy. You've done an amazing job with her." Lisa felt a warm glow in her chest every time someone complimented Bella. Not because she wanted credit for herself, but because it meant that Bella's transformation was complete. The broken, terrified animal from the warehouse had become this magnificent, joyful creature playing in the sunshine. The changes hadn't stopped at Bella's confidence and happiness. She had become Lisa's constant companion and, surprisingly, her greatest teacher. Every day, Bella showed Lisa something new about resilience, forgiveness, and the power of unconditional love. At home, Bella had claimed her favorite spot on the couch right next to Lisa. She would curl up with her head resting on Lisa's lap while they watched television together in the evenings. Sometimes Lisa would catch herself having full conversations with Bella, discussing her day at work or asking for advice about difficult decisions. "What do you think, girl? Should I take that job offer in the next town? It would mean more money, but we'd have to leave our nice apartment." Bella would tilt her head thoughtfully, as if seriously considering the question, then give Lisa's hand a gentle lick that somehow always felt like the perfect answer. The most amazing transformation had happened gradually, so slowly that Lisa almost didn't notice it at first. Bella had developed an incredible ability to sense when other people or animals were in distress. At the veterinary clinic, she would often accompany Lisa on quiet days and something magical would happen. Frightened cats would calm down when Bella entered the room. Anxious dogs would stop shaking when she lay down nearby. Even the most aggressive animals seemed to understand that Bella meant no harm, that she was there to help, not hurt. "It's like she remembers what it felt like to be scared," Lisa told her colleague Dr. Rodriguez one afternoon. "She knows exactly how to make other animals feel safe." This gift led to an unexpected opportunity. The local animal shelter asked if Bella could volunteer as a therapy dog for newly rescued animals. Lisa was hesitant at first, worried that returning to a shelter environment might trigger bad memories for Bella. But the first day they volunteered together, Lisa knew she had nothing to worry about. Bella walked through the shelter with quiet dignity, approaching each cage with gentle curiosity. She seemed to understand that these animals needed her help, and she gave it willingly. There was a young pit bull mix named Rocky, who had been rescued from a fighting ring. He cowered in the back of his kennel, too traumatized to let anyone near him. The shelter staff had tried everything, but Rocky remained aggressive and fearful. Bella approached his kennel and simply lay down in front of it. She didn't try to make eye contact or force interaction. She just stayed there, calm and patient, showing Rocky that it was possible to be near humans without being hurt. After an hour, Rocky crept forward to sniff through the bars. Bella didn't move, didn't react, just let him investigate in his own time. By the end of the day, Rocky was sitting at the front of his kennel, watching Bella with something that looked like hope. "I've never seen anything like it," Maria, the shelter director, told Lisa. "It's like she speaks their language. She knows exactly what they need to hear." Within 6 months, Rocky had been adopted by a family with children. The transformation from a terrified, aggressive dog to a gentle family pet had happened largely because Bella had shown him that trust was possible again. Stories like Rocky's became common wherever Bella went. She helped dozens of animals learn to trust again, each success feeling like a victory not just for them but for every animal who had ever been mistreated or abandoned. Lisa realized that Bella's greatest gift wasn't just her ability to heal others, but her capacity to forgive. Despite everything she had endured, the years of chains and concrete floors, the hunger and fear and loneliness, Bella held no anger in her heart. She had chosen love over bitterness, hope over despair. This lesson changed Lisa's own life in ways she never expected. She found herself more patient with difficult clients at work, more understanding with friends going through hard times, more willing to see the good in people even when they made mistakes. One sunny Saturday morning, Lisa and Bella were playing in their backyard when a butterfly landed on Bella's nose. Instead of being startled, Bella sat perfectly still, cross-eyed, as she tried to look at her colorful visitor. When the butterfly flew away, Bella jumped up and chased it in playful circles, barking with pure delight. Watching this simple moment of joy, Lisa felt overwhelmed with gratitude. She thought about that first day in the warehouse, when she had looked into Bella's eyes and seen a spark that refused to be extinguished. That spark had grown into a flame that warmed not just their own lives, but the lives of every animal and person they encountered. "Thank you, beautiful girl," Lisa whispered, kneeling down to wrap her arms around Bella's neck. "Thank you for teaching me what courage looks like. Thank you for showing me that no matter how dark things get, there's always hope for a better tomorrow." Bella licked Lisa's face enthusiastically, her tail wagging so hard her whole body wiggled with happiness. In that moment, surrounded by sunshine and love, it was impossible to imagine that either of them had ever known sadness. The chains were gone forever. The fear was just a distant memory. In their place was something neither of them had dared to dream of in those early days. A bond that had healed them both and turned their individual stories of survival into one beautiful story of love, hope, and second chances. As they headed inside for lunch, Bella prancing beside her with a tennis ball in her mouth, Lisa smiled at how perfectly imperfect their life together had become. They had saved each other in ways they were still discovering, proving that sometimes the most broken things, when pieced back together with love, become the most beautiful of all.